Hello and welcome to my WildWaters tutorials. This video is just going to be going over the basic movements without using the exploit. So first of all, this is a prototype game, not a full game, so you'll need a flash card to run it, or you can run it on emulator on your computer as well. So it's a very simple game. I recommend using a GameCube style stick for the N64. They're quite cheap and it does make the exploit work a lot better, which I'll go into later in another video. For this video I'm just going to be showing basic movement. So the basic movement of this game is kind of broken and it's all centered on the stick. There's very little controls. There's one control you really want to avoid, and I'll just address that right away here. So if you press the R button while holding forward, what you'll get is your character will bend down like this. Especially when using the exploit, you want to avoid this, as this can lead to glitches. It's already kind of glitching out, but you really want to avoid the R button at all possible times. Okay, so it doesn't matter to my knowledge about which character you choose. Katana is the first in the option, and it feels best, but it's probably just like it feels like she's the fastest, but it's hard to tell, and it's probably just affirmation bias. So without pressing anything, you don't really go anywhere. And what you want to do to paddle, go forward or backwards, is paddle with the stick. And you can turn with it. And while you're turning, you'll be paddling so that you can turn that direction, which is different from the paddling forward or the paddling straight backwards in terms of the direction you go. Pretty simple stuff. A, when combined with forward, moves you forward in the water. So essentially you want to hold A. If you tap it, you'll end up getting short bursts of animation, which I'm not sure, they may be useful at further times, but for beginners I'm going to just suggest you just hold A and kind of press forward. Now the collision in this game is kind of broken. You see, you can't really like crash by slamming into stuff. You'll just get turned sideways, or you'll just come to a dead stop. Unless you're holding forward. If you're holding forward, you're in contact with the water surface, and you're also in contact with a wall texture. You'll actually go forward at a accelerated rate compared to normally going through the middle of the water. It's very hard to avoid this in regular play. So you'll see that the physics of the game are broken kind of by default. Just holding forward against walls will help you go a lot faster. Although it won't lead to any kind of major jumps or skips or anything. So you want to generally kind of stick to the walls, hold A, and kind of press towards them when possible. I'm holding away from that wall. A big thing is course knowledge in this game. You really, there's only one course, but it's a long one, and there's a lot of polygons in it. Each polygon and the way you interact with it is of importance. So you want to carefully choose which polygons you're colliding with. Even without the exploit here, you can see I'm building up rapid amounts of speed. And I haven't talked about B. So B actually stops your character somewhat. If you're accelerating forward and you've built up some speed and you press B, it'll stop you in time. If you tap B, it'll just kind of slow you down a bit. Although I collided with a wall, so that's not a great example. It's hard to get good examples for this game because the whole map is kind of broken. So the other thing that will slow you down is stopping paddling, even if you're holding A. So there's a lot of ways to slow down, but the only real way to keep your speed is to hold forward and hold towards walls. This is where having a GameCube style stick or a GameCube to N64 adapter, like they sell at RapNet, like you can use a GameCube stick for this, you could use a GameCube style stick for this. Steel stick works pretty well, but the OEM joystick, holding it forward for that amount of time is not only really uncomfortable after a while, it also kind of damages your controller. This is a Kishten stick. You can still play like this, no problem. You'll get the same sort of results usually, except on these GameCube style sticks. They actually have an increased range from peak to peak, so they'll go beyond the range, and the paddling actually depends on the range of values. So if you can hold forward more on a GameCube style stick, which you can, then you get a higher speed output. Even small touches forward while pressing A will get you a decent amount of speed. So if you find yourself gaining too much speed over a section, you can just kind of back it off by pressing forward, but keep your you only really want to use B once you start using more advanced techniques and trying to slow down. Trying to speed up, like speeding up in general, isn't really a problem in this game. You can do it just about anywhere. So slowing down is the real problem. Every time you speed up, you're generally going over top of water, and then you actually have to go and hit the water's surface afterwards. This is where I think a lot of strategy adjustments can be made. When you're going fast and you fall into the water and you're holding forward, you actually get pushed down underneath of it. So generally when you land on the water, you want to let off of the joystick for a second and off of A, so you're not accelerating down into the water. That will end up saving you a lot of time in the future once you get more of the exploit down. There really isn't that much to this game, but that goes over a little bit. Even without any kind of exploits, you can get crazy jumps like that, and in order to finish the game, you actually have to soft lock it. There's a plane down here where if you go to it, and it's just off the end of the edge, the stage geometry, then you will hit a plane and then drift up a little bit, and if you let off of the controls at that point once you're drifting up, then you will freeze as quickly as possible, and that's a good way to end the course and the tutorial. That's really the only timing method we have. There's no other way to end the course, so practicing the end to know how fast you can get into that soft lock state is always a good idea. If you have any questions, I'm going to be making some future videos going over the exploit and a glitch that I found with the R button that I told you to avoid that I don't think is useful. If you have any questions, leave them in the comment section below. Thank you for watching, and take care.